YouTube family. Are you scared yet? Because I'm not. So what I'm doing now is kind of trying to get better and better at this editing stuff. And I'm going into the deep dark web and I'm finding stories that are saying to read at your own risk, things like that. So I would really like and appreciate if you like, comment, and subscribe. Mainly subscribe so I can put out some more content for you guys. That would be really great. And any suggestions that you would like for me to read, I would get better at my reading with you guys. The more I continue to do this, the better I will get. So the next one we're going to get into is called The Statue. Frank absentmindedly wheeling his cleaning cart as the curator prated on about the new exhibit. Some sort of fertility goddess, maybe. We're not sure where she's from. The Hope at the Dock lost most of the paperwork, but it's critical the room be given an extra once over her debut. Well, she's here. Frank looked up. It was some type of statue or feminine creature. She might have looked beautiful if not her lack of eyes and unsettling grin of large teeth. Her limbs had vaguely reptilian look to them. Had his mind not been on his wife's surgery, Frank might have registered how unwavering it was. Magnificent, isn't she? Well, get to it. Chop, chop, said the curator, who wheeled about the left. Frank pulled out his mop and got to work. Hours ticked by while Frank cleaned. He would occasionally glance at his phone, but there was no missed calls. Once Frank was satisfied, things were spotless enough even for Mr. Stick-Up-the-Ass. He started to wheel the cart out, but as he approached the next room, he heard a whisper. "Don't go," it said. Frank wheeled. "Who's there?" he said with a slight quiver to his voice. "Museum's closed. Come out, or I'm gonna call the police." Tell them what? Frank noticed that the voice was coming behind the statue. He snapped his mop handle and held it and pointed aloft as he cautiously approached it. When he was right in front of it, the voice spoke again. "The statue, are you talking?" There was a slight cautiousness in his voice, and it finally registered to Frank that it wasn't coming from behind the statue, but it was the statue itself. "Oh, what are you?" he stammered. "A friend," she said in a distinctively feminine voice. "What do you want?" "I want to help you." Help me how?" Just then Frank's phone rang. Temporarily forgetting this bizarre turn, he answered. "Hello?" Yes. That's... well, what do you mean? You can't stop it." "Oh, okay, I see. Thank you. Goodbye." "Bad news?" "They got most of the tumor, but she's still bleeding. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm talking to a goddamn statue." "Cut yourself in the arm. Do that, and I'll make it stop." Sadness, depression, and a hint of curiosity spurred Frank's next act. He took the jagged end of the mop handle and drew fresh cut along his arm. "Good." Frank could swear he then heard a loud pinch rumble for a moment. "It's done." The phone rang. "Yes." "Really?" That's wonderful. Yes, of course. I will." He hung up, and the bleeding, it stopped. "The tumor will grow back. I can cure her fully, but I'll need you to do more." Frank got on his knees. "Anything." The museum curator killed himself. Frank considered the mop handle's jagged tip. Moments later, agonized screams rang out in darkness halls of the museum. In the darkness, the statue continued to grin. Night of the museum. What a horror story. Let's find another. He watches. He gets lonely sometimes, being the only one that can see them. I sat by the window peering at the world behind the glass pane. For a while, it was staggering to witness how many there were. But as time went on, their number just became a commonplace to me. One after another, stumbling about our yards, trying to break into our homes, and sometimes they were successful. Every once in a while, they'll be there, standing at the end of the hallway, rocking back and forth, clinging to the top corner of the ceiling, screeching with horrific, disfigured mouths. Unluckily, if I stared at them long enough, they'll become unsettled and run away. But no one ever sees to know what I've done for them. My whole family thinks me crazy, never taking my words seriously. And sometimes these things would sing or mutter words no one could understand, but I understood them. I felt their pain, their anguish, and sometimes I listened to them and attempted to communicate their suffering, and I liked it. Is that wrong of me? I guess if you're the only one who's aware of these creatures, after a while, you have to find some way to cope, right? We all used to know of these hopeless souls trapped somewhere between heaven and hell. Back in the days of ancient Egypt, we knew the sacred abyss of purgatory, but no more. Even with our progress we all have created, we have built, it has come at a cost. We have forgotten the ways of the past, my blissfully unaware family included. My sister approached me and sat next to me by the window. "What you doing, buddy?" she asked, and said with cheerful interest. But I did not respond. I grew tired of talking, warning them, trying to tell them what was out there, and every time I did, they would just laugh and treat me like I was a child. After a while, you just stop caring. You just stop trying. But they are family, so I will continue to ward off these otherworldly beasts as long as I can manage the task. If only they knew what I was doing for them. She got up and patted my head. "You're a silly cat, you know that?" As she was walking away, I yearned for her naive. Yes, silly, I thought to myself. I turned back towards the transparent barrier and continued to watch. If only they knew. The best man. I barely knew him. He came to dinner every morning and ordered a cappuccino, nice enough, but like I said, I didn't actually know him. So why was I standing by his side in the middle of the woods? He had come in the usual time that morning and had already had his coffee ready. "Thank you," he said, taking a large drink before sitting at the counter. He seemed nervous, fidgeting in his stool, tapping his fingers. "How are you this morning?" I asked, hoping that I sounded nonchalant. He began, then paused, staring at me for several seconds, just as I was about to ask what he was looking at. He pointed to me. "Do you have plans tonight?" "Huh? Why?" I started to wonder if he was asking me out. "Listen, I'm getting married tonight, and my best man has backed out on me. I realize we barely know each other, but I need a witness at a ceremony. Would you be interested?" I didn't know why I said yes. He just looked in his eyes and something alluring that made it come out of my mouth before I even realized. The address he gave me led to a dead end down a narrow road where he met me and had me follow him into the woods. Alarm bells should have rang in my head, but there was just something about him that made me keep going. We met a priest dressed in black robe, and there we waited for the bride. As the sun disappeared, the priest took out the book and began chanting a strange language. Thunder rumbled, and the wind picked up, blowing all around us. The ground burst open at our feet, and a skeleton hand reached up. I screamed, and I tried to run, but my body was frozen in place. The thing crawled out of the ground, rotting flesh dangling from its bones, and grabbed him by the face. I couldn't believe it. He was laughing as it opened his mouth wider than humanly, and it climbed inside him. Then everything was quiet, and the priest was gone. My heart pounded as he walked towards me, his eyes glowing bright, his presence beaming with power. "Thank you," he said, speaking with several voices at a time. "This couldn't have happened without you." Oh gosh, this is something else. The next one, just a wow. Do you ever wish you could disappear for a little while? Not like going on a vacation. I never truly relax on those because there's always still responsibilities waiting, stacking up while you're gone, so you come back to more of a mess than you left. But also not in a suicidal type of way either. I do want to come back, and I love my family. I know my kids need me. I just wish I could not exist for a short period of time and come back without seeing like I was gone. And you know what? I think my wish came true a few months ago. I closed my eyes and felt like I took the most peaceful several-hour nap. And when I opened it, it had only been a couple of minutes. It started out just once a week, but slowly became more frequent until it was a couple of times a day, and I loved it. I was so much more relaxed, it didn't affect my day until I woke up from one yesterday, and I was in a hospital. My husband said I had a seizure. The doctors found a mass, and they were taking me in for surgery tomorrow. Remember, we're going in for surgery and going back to my peaceful place. But now I feel like I've been here for days. But surely that means it's only been a couple of hours, right? That's normal for surgery, right? There's no way I'm still stuck here, right? Just a face. It was a fun night. I attended a party at one of the resorts in our city. It was a little far, but placed in a perfectly quiet part of the city where we get to enjoy bright stars and crickets chirping. The hotel was cozy and the garden was filled with beautiful plants and luscious trees. I relaxed, enjoying the time off as I finally got from studying. Remember when? Yeah, and then holy that happened? Hey, you wanna go down for a bit? I asked my friends, and they agreed. We all took out jackets to protect us from the cold outside. Hey, let's take a picture over here, said Anna. We headed towards the garden where a large swinging bench stood. All three of us got into the frame and smiled for a photo. We continued exploring the garden a bit. When I checked my watch, I noticed that it was past 3 a.m. Guys, let's go back inside and sleep, I said. We headed upstairs and tucked ourselves into our soft covers, and soon we were fast asleep. The cool morning air caressed our faces, waking us up. We went down for breakfast and headed over to the buffet table. Our mouths were just watering over the delicious spread of hot pancakes, crispy bacon, and fluffy omelets, and not to forget the cool orange juice to wash it all down. While eating, I took out my phone and scanned through our photos. We looked like we enjoyed last night until I came to a photo we took at the garden. We were smiling brightly at the photo, all but one, and it was not one of us. I shivered. What? Said Casey. I said nothing and showed them the photo. Yeah, we look good. What about it? Chimed in Anna. Zoomed in the photo. Their eyes widened. Beside the swing bench was a face. Just a face. No body, no limbs, just a face. And it looked ghastly. Its dark eye sockets staring blankly at us, its mouth open downwards as if it was screaming, and it was almost transparent, allowing us to see the plants behind it, and goosebumps formed our skin. Maybe it's just a statue, whispered Anna. Her teeth chattered. I stood up and went to check, but there was no statue. As I trod back, I took a look at the other photos. I choked. Every single photo was in. It was eye sockets staring at me, mouth agape, then it opened. I blinked. It moved again, closer. I ran back to our table. Look, the face moved. I showed it to them, but they shook their heads, saying it was still at the same place. I looked at the screen again, and this time the face was beside me by my own photo. I dropped my phone at the table, and I pointed at it. Look, it really